What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Eddy Live Show number 97 with my man Ashley Atkins. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. Doing very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Good. As I was just saying, I finally got a haircut, man. My hair was getting really bad, man. I mean, it was rough. It was rough. It's like quarantine hair, but I was still working like 7 days a week. Craziness, man. Yeah, but I think we're okay now, so that's good. I mean, damn, it's right at 7 o'clock. We just right on the dot here. Appreciate you making the time, bro.
I like it. Sounds good. I just finished up watering behind me, swept the floors. So I'm ready to go. I'm looking forward to this and have been for the last few weeks. Let's get going.
Right on, brother. So obviously, you're living in Taiwan. You're Canadian. I mean, let's maybe just start from the beginning. What was the original reason that you came to Taiwan? Why? What brought you out here?
I was free, and I had a friend living out, actually a mutual friend of ours living out here in Taiwan. And he had introduced me to Taiwan. But even a few short years before that, my eldest brother, Sean, had traveled to about, let's say, 6-7 countries, also teaching abroad. One of those countries, Colombia, I got a chance to see him for about 10 days. Okay. And really good taste of what it's like to live abroad. Yeah.
Okay. And so you got to go to Colombia. Okay. Yep. Well, that's a little bit different than here. I mean, how's Colombia, man? Tell me a little bit about that before we get deeper.
Sure. Well, I mean, I was a vacationer there, so I didn't get fully immersed in the life. But living there, he introduced me to all the local spots. He was living in a small town called Santa Marta. And so we got really, good experience of the local culture, the local experience of living there. And then we also to one of the larger, maybe the capital, Cartagena for one of the weekends. And it was it was fantastic.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you got that, you kind of got a little taste of living abroad sort of deal. Okay. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And, while he was there, he was a teacher. Mm-hmm. So I also had a chance to meet some of his students. And I think I was watching Alex Wagner's episode yesterday. I think it was Alex too.
Okay.
And
great guy. I love Alex Wagner.
Alex teacher. Or teacher Alex. And I remember it was Mr. Sean. Mr. Sean is what they called my brother's name. So, great in high school. And he had a wonderful experience. And I got a chance to meet a lot of his friends from all. And that's one experience I've really come to appreciate in Taiwan. And that is meeting folks from all around the globe.
Okay. Yeah. So you're Canadian, right? I think, right? I've seen that from Toronto. Yeah, beautiful.
That's correct.
To the Canadian boys from 1978. Yeah, that's us, brother. Yeah.
There you go.
I've been out here for been out for a long time as well. It's a great place. I mean, my family's Canadian. Sorry, I'm Canadian. My family's Canadian. Obviously, my parents originally come from Mexico, and so when we traveled, we'd always go to Mexico. And when I came out to Taiwan, sort of a similar thing. I was doing some teaching. I was coaching. I had a friend that came out he was in Taichung probably 15, 20 years ago. And we chatted. And I'm like, that sounds great. Let's do that. And I came out here, planned it, figured it'd be 1 or 2 years. And it's been half my life now, man. It's a long time. Yeah.
Almost likewise for myself. For a while, I kept telling myself, this is my 10th first year or my 11th. It was always, I'm going to be here for 1 year. Maybe I'll be here for 2 or 3. Here we are going on 16 years. Still absolutely loving living here. Just fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So I really wanted to dive into your microgreens sort of project. I mean, when did this start? I mean, was it something that you were passionate about all the time? Are you from a family of entrepreneurs, or what brought this about? I really want to dive into that because it's such a cool project.
Yeah. Well, you threw it at me right there, so I'll try to pick them apart
Sorry,
one by
man.
one. But
Okay.
no, that's all.
So that's okay.
Good. It's all. It's interesting, the question, because it breaks down into a lot of different answers. Number one, just growing up as a young boy in suburban backyard and front yard space, so I had a small little garden growing, looking carrots, terrible radish. But even young boy, I always loved playing in the dirt. I was a baseball player, fanatic, so I was always in. And fast forward to Taiwan, and I discovered after watching a movie with a group of friends that I wanted to pursue in an urban setting right here in Taichung City. I've always lived in Taichung, but the only accessible space I had at the time was a rooftop, right? A rooftop where I used to live, and so that afforded a lot of challenges.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things in Taiwan that we love. In Canada, we have a front yard and a backyard, and we cut the grass and we got to shovel the snow in the winter. And then we come here, and it's not quite Japan size, but the apartments are definitely a lot smaller in Taipei, at least. I know in other areas they can be bigger, but I mean, we just moved about a year ago into like I'd say like a 3-bedroom, pretty decent size. But before that, we've been living in really small places, my wife and I. And you just get used to having such a small place. So I would imagine that the idea of urban farming would be something that would be very popular here. I mean, is it? I have no idea. I don't know much about this niche.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, where you're living now, do you have a rooftop that's accessible?
I do. I've only been up there once, but I do have a rooftop that's accessible. Yeah.
Okay. Because you could start, and this is how we started. You could just simply start with styro, not the best, but as a small project for you and your family. It's funny because when we started up an old restaurant called Mexican Restaurant right here in the city, they still got one branch left.
I've heard of it, actually.
Heard of it, but we would. Oh, did you? Okay, yeah, quite a popular place. And they still have one branch open, but where we were was right in the city center. And I would mini march and drive over to Costco, drive in behind, and pick up mountains and mountains of styrofoam boxes. We'd haul them up to the rooftop, fill them with soil, and right from the get-go, you're super excited. If any of your viewers or listeners are in Taichung today, you'll know what I'm about. And that is once the summer hit, and once we had our first typhoon, we realized we were up against some pretty walls. So rooftop gardening on a large scale is very difficult in Taiwan. But as a family project, it's something you can do, and it's very small and easy. Yeah.
So when you say rooftop, that means open rooftop, not like those sort of steel roofy deals, right? Like that means you go up there and it's just there's no ceiling, right? And it's just it gets rained on.
That's right.
And there's a technical word for it, right? It's like aquaponics or hydroponics or something, right? Is that the word for it for this actual kind of farming, or is that something different?
A little bit different. In fact, two areas I have had my hands in. That is what we did. We just used traditional soil, right? Initially, but funny enough, we transitioned into aquaponics, and aquaponics is the mixture, a symbiotic system of both fish and what happens is the fish produce a waste. If I could say, well, fecal or poop, also urine,
fish
right?
Poo, fish
and
poo,
what happens is, there. Can I say that on live TV?
Sure, of course. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, of course, brother. Please feel free to say whatever you got to say, man. It's all good.
Awesome. So what you do is you have let me get my camera here. So you have the plants on top, you have the fish down below, and then you have a fish pump that pumps the water up top. And what the plants and the roots do filter, right? So what we discovered is that soil on a rooftop poses a lot of challenges, such as excessive heat, drying, etc. But aquaponics uses water, right? And so therefore, you never, ever have drying out and so on. So with aquaponics,
there's no soil,
pumped up.
No soil at all. Okay.
No, that's right. That's right.
Sorry, go ahead.
And then the roots of the plant act as a filter. The roots filter the water, and then the water actually back into the fish tank. And so it creates a really environmentally friendly, conservation-based farming plan. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I've actually I looked into stuff like that, and it looks really cool. But I mean, I have no idea. I mean, it looks really interesting. So I'm curious. You said you tried some of the aquaponics, or did you try any of that, or did you guys just go soil? You just went soil right off the bat, or was there a reason that you chose one over the other? Out of curiosity, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we did try both. We transitioned into aquaponics, and the main reason was because it was drying out within hours of being watered, right? Wow. So we moved into aquaponics, but there are challenges that come with aquaponics. You have to understand how fish and their environment coexist. So, having fish, you need to feed them, you need the amount of food, the water and its acidity is also very, very, so there's quite a bit of technical involved in aquaponics.
Okay, that makes sense. So aquaponics has no soil, and that's really cool. Yeah, because I looked into that before, and I actually wanted to try a little project on the balcony and stuff. That we have a little patio sort of balcony deal, and we never got around to doing it because sometimes you just get so busy. But I would like to try that. I mean, I never even thought about going up to the roof and trying it out, but that's pretty cool, man. So you decided to transition over to aquaponics from soil because your soil was drying out.
That's right.
And was there like a learning curve, I guess, with the fish and stuff? Yeah.
To say the least. So we bought a large tank. I don't know how many hundreds of liters, but it was a large tank. And we did it with over 200 fish, 210, 220.
Okay.
And I was responsible for taking care of the fish. And we probably lost about half just because, I think the problem was I was filling the tank with water from the tap. And of course, water, just about every developed country. And because it's treated, if you have the fish with the treatment mixing together, they don't like it. And so it was terrible to lose all those lives, but it was a learning experience.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. So what, obviously your main thing is the microgreens, right? So is there a reason that you guys really chose to focus on microgreens out of all of the veggies that you could have started doing?
Okay, so again, a little bit of a backstory to that. I'll make sure it doesn't go on at length.
No, that's what we're here for, man. Keep going. Let's go.
Well, there you go. This is long form, right? This is long form.
Let's go. Of course.
So
it is. Let's do it.
One night, we were walking through the downtown Taichung area train station, and for any listeners who haven't been to Taichung, specifically the train station area, Zhongqu, or Central District, it's a great place to just spend a weekend around, checking out all the different spots, whether it be the Southeast Asian, it's called Asian Square, First Square, the new train station, and some of these I call them busted up abandoned buildings. And so one night, Friday, I happened to come across one of these buildings, Chinese Dalo.
Okay.
And
okay.
When you take a look back and straight up, It is the most horrendous, scary-looking building you could imagine, right?
Okay.
Now, assuming we're in Canada, I'll speak off of because I'm a Canadian, and you see a building like this, you're not going to go.
Yeah,
you don't know who's inside. You don't. But we're in Taiwan, right? So we grab a couple of road pops. We start heading up the back stairs to the 5th floor. Light. Why is there a light on this abandoned building? So, of the three, our tallest and biggest of friends down this long hallway. We're a couple of scared guys. We send our biggest friend down the hallway. He turns
big boys
the corner,
first.
And also we hear exactly. We hear just a burst of laughter and conversation and this, that, and the other. And so we think it's all right. Let's give it a go. My back. So we continue down the hallway, make our left turn. There's Max talking to all these Taiwanese 20-something-year-olds, all looking really chilled, happy. And out of that crowd comes a English-speaking guy, ends up he grew up just outside Toronto. So
oh wow, okay,
we asked
very
him,
cool.
what are you guys doing here? And it turns out that they're quite a graffiti group right here in Taichung, and quite well known around Taiwan. And for what it's worth, if anyone knows, their name is Escape Plan X. So that's their name, Escape Plan X. So if you search on Facebook, maybe Instagram, of course, you'll find that name. So as I said, I want to keep it a long story short. So we were asking the guys there if there's any space in the building. Cut to the chase, available space, and within 2 weeks, beginning of January, we moved in, and 3 of us, we took up this small space, and of all the three of us, I was the one that wanted to figure out how to grow indoors. Right, so that's where this all started, of growing indoors and eventually going onto microgreens.
Okay, so indoors is the way that you can control the environment, right? Obviously, no typhoons indoors. You can control the temperature. So it's a different thing doing it indoors, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's so. When I got started, actually, you mentioned aquaponics earlier. So in a small,
is that a different thing? I mixed the two up. I mixed them up. Okay. Sorry.
No worries.
I don't want to cut you off, but hydroponics and aquaponics, I mix these two up all the time. And sometimes when I'm talking to someone like you that actually knows what's going on, I don't even dare say the word hydroponic or aquaponic because I always mix them up and I confuse them. So, okay, so keep going. Maybe you can explain the difference between the two because I'm lost on
very simple actually. No problem. So aquaponics, you use fish to
it's the fish
fertilize the vegetables, and in hydroponics you use different salts, whether it's potassium, iron, calcium. It's a list of about 20 different salts, and you can get them at the chemist in bottles. Uncap the bottles, almost like medicine bottles, right? A little large. And so you just mix veg, different fruit require different amount of these various different salts. So, and that's the difference. That's actually the aqua is with fish and hydroponic is with different salts, mineral salts. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't even know that. I thought they were the same thing, and I didn't even know there was a one that you use salts for. That's cool, man. I'm learning. That's beautiful. So you were saying that you've touched on both of these things in your, and are you currently doing both styles, or
No, actually, it's a good question. Yes, and I speak when I say we, my wife and I, we work on this together quite often. She's put a lot of time into researching the trays, the amounts of water, prices of seeds, etc. So she's an integral part of what we're doing. And along the way, we discovered that using soil for what we're doing right now is the best approach. I've spoken to chefs in the past, and they say that the flavor, and the notes, etc., much better from soil than hydroponics.
Wow, that's
so
really
right
cool,
now,
man.
Using soil. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, fast forward a little bit. You obviously behind you, you've got your setup, right? You have a location. Is this part of your house? Are you guys renting a space? Or tell me a little bit about where you're at right now.
The space we're at now, we've been at for about prior to that, we were at the building, as I just mentioned, Chenyue.
That building.
And during the time we were, that's where a lot of and a lot of tears and a lot of frustration went down. That's about it. That's about it. But
okay.
You know, massive learning curve. And so while we were there, I tried this out, tried that out, tried a variety of different approaches, and started working out well. But as per abandoned buildings, the infrastructure was just not conducive. For example, humid, or it was too hot. There wasn't enough airflow. So about a year ago, I decided if we're going to take this to the next level, we're going to commercialize. We need to move to a new location. So we moved uptown near Civic Square, where the Jazz every year, except last year, of course.
Okay.
And we're just in your average, typical apartment. Behind me is where you would be watching TV Tuesday, or tonight's Tuesday. In the donation room is a bedroom, and the other room is just a storage room. Just a storage room. So
that's really cool, man. So is it? I mean, you guys live in Taichung. Is this far from where you guys live, or is it somewhere close by? So you guys are kind of, you get to go there all the time. Is it like something close to home?
So the night it's very, very small. You're from Vancouver, right?
Okay. I'm actually from a small town way up north called Kitimat. It's a really small place. It's a really great place, but not many people know it, even Canadians. Yeah. Okay. It's about a 16-hour drive north of Vancouver. Yeah. Canada's big. Yeah. You know that though.
Well, how?
Yeah.
Let me turn the tables if you don't mind. How did you end up in Kitimat?
So actually, I didn't really know the whole story until about 3 years ago when I went back to visit. I was having a chat with my dad, and actually the topic came up. I thought that I knew, but I didn't really know the actual story. So my family's from Mexico, right? And my parents had met in Mexico, in Guadalajara. They got married. They had my older sister in Mexico. And my dad's older sister, so my aunt, who recently passed away, rest in peace, she met a Canadian guy who was living in Mexico. And so, they hit it off. He brought her up to Canada, to Victoria, and they got married. Okay. And, they moved to this small town called Kitimat. And at that time, this was, 40 something years ago, that was when Canada was really heavily underpopulated. So they're kind of like, hey, everybody come and move to Canada. So my dad went up there to check it out, and he got a job at a aluminum smelting factory called Alcan, which is now Rio Tinto, which sort of employs most of the town, my hometown. So they went up there, and my dad was young. My mom was young. Young family. My sister was like 1. And so my dad went up. He applied for this job. He got this job. It was probably $25-$30 an hour Canadian 40 years ago. And it was, which is great money. It was still good money now. At that time, it was like, wow, it's amazing. So he immediately flew my mom and my sister up there. They settled down. And then I was sort of the first one born in Canada of my family. Yeah. So I just found that story out a few years ago. I just figured, hey, they went up for a visit, liked it. Yeah, I didn't really ask. It's weird when when you're younger, you don't really care that much, and then when you get older and you're away from your family, and people ask you, and you think to yourself, you really don't know. So this last time I went back home, I asked my dad, I'm like, how did we end up here? And we sat down, we had a chat, and he told me, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. Why didn't you tell me that before? It's a great story. Yeah.
Nice. Good to learn about that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
for sure, man, for sure.
You and I are both born in 78. We're both born, you were saying
sir.
Before. Okay.
Yep,
and my father also comes from a mining town north of Toronto called Kirkland. And it was known for its nickel mines. So large nickel mines up, I guess what he's near now. So, many years ago. But since then, Kirkland Lake has really declined, and the mines, I believe all the mines, or pretty much all of them, have. So interesting. Good stuff.
I think that sounds similar. Like my hometown, it kind of goes up and down. And the last time I went back, it was booming. But usually when I go back, it's it's more and more things are closing, and you kind of get scared. You kind of get worried that the town is gonna disappear. But a few years ago, there was this natural gas sort of pipeline deal coming right through the town and going to go out to ship, I guess, natural gas, I think, to China.
Yeah.
And so that sort of pipeline passed. There was another one that was going to be an oil pipeline that got rejected. And then, but the natural gas one apparently went through. And then from then, all the housing like quadrupled in price. I mean, mad rush of people. It's like almost like a gold rush. I mean, it was booming. I went to my hometown and there's usually about 5,000 to 8,000 people. And I mean, there was, I would say 10, maybe 20,000 people. I didn't even know half of them, which is crazy because in a small town, everybody, right? There's one bar and you kind of know who's there. You go in and there's that same guy sitting on that stool, drinking the same thing. Every few years you go back, he's got a few more gray hairs, but he's still doing the same thing, right? So this time you went back and it's like, wow, who are all these people? There's new stuff happening. So it was cool to go back that time to see my hometown booming because, you get scared a little bit. You're like, oh, man, this would suck that if it would turn into a ghost town or something, because it's really a great place. It's really great fishing. We have a First Nations village sort of nearby. I got lots of really good friends from there. We get fantastic seafood from these guys. These guys are, I grew up with a mix of people, and some of my best friends are native, like First Nation. And man, the crabs from my town, man, they're the best. They're incredible. So when I came to Taiwan, and they're like, because the body of the crab would be like that, and the legs, not quite Alaska king crab, but I would say maybe 2/3 the size of that, like big, like just meat, just beautiful, right? And so when I came to Taiwan, and they're like, oh, you're missing crabs, right? I'm like, yeah, I love the crabs. And I went to a seafood buffet here, Taiwan, amazing seafood, but the crabs are like this big, and I was like, what? This is a baby. You got to let this guy grow a little bit, man. It was crazy. So it must be a different species. I'm not that bright, but it must be a different species. But yeah, the crabs where I come from, they're big. They're incredible, man. That Pacific Ocean it's a beautiful place, and I love it. We actually we had some friends, and we went out to visit a few times the Queen Charlotte Islands, which is like, that's like paradise, man. It's beautiful. So when you live there, you don't really appreciate it, but when you go back, you're like, oh, this place is heaven, right? And so it's tough because you're there and you feel there's not that much opportunity. There's great things happening, but there's not that much opportunity. Whereas you come out here, it's a big city. There's lots of stuff going on. We have a restaurant here. Whereas in Canada, if I were to open like a big restaurant like this, I don't think I could, man. It would just be a lot of red tape and a lot of regulations and craziness. But in Taiwan, you kind of just, at the very beginning, maybe not for this size, but a bit smaller, you open up the gate and you're open. And you know what? If somebody complains, then you get your license, right? That's about it. Yeah. So it's great. I love it. Exactly. I love Taiwan. Well, for me, it was kind of like the Wild West. I found so much opportunity. And I thought the taxes were pretty low because in Canada, you go buy a 75-cent chocolate bar and it's like, $1.05 or something, that dates me obviously, but you have to do them. And my math is horrible. So I remember having like, $2 and I'd have these 2 candies as a kid. And I'm like, I think I have enough, but I don't know. And I'm trying to do the math in my head, and then you just give up, it's like, forget it. So one of the things I loved about here, which is similar to Mexico, you go in, this thing says 100 NT, it's 100 NT. It's great. I love that about here and about Mexico. Yeah.
It's interesting when you mention the wild, wild west, right? And it's not so much when you're operating a business, you can do just about anything you want. But once you're operating, of course, you have to work in certain standards. So even before I started this greens business, which I picked it out of thin air, really. I mean, I did have a mentor and a friend to guide me at the start. But long before Microgreens, of course, I was teaching here when I first began.
Sure, everybody.
And then from there, I went into what I was hoping I was hoping to start a mutual fund in the investment world. And I'll just let you in around 2007. And I don't need to tell you what happened eventually in 08 and 09. And so I licked my wounds after the market crashed. Then I moved on to the tea world because, living on some of the best tea in the world. And and I thought I had found the holy grail of tea living in Taiwan. And nobody else knew about it in Canada. My wife has said, wife, let's set up a website. Well, her name isn't wife, but you know where I'm going. And I said, let's go back to Canada. Let's import Taiwan tea. We'll go everywhere. We'll knock on doors. We'll do farmers markets. And then I forget, but it was the coldest year, the polar vortex year, coldest year in like 20 years. This was about 6-7 years ago. And I cut it. It was just too cold. And knocking on doors in the middle of February in Toronto was just not my...
So you had the tea. You had the tea with you, and you were in Toronto. Oh, for the winters. Oh, Canadian winters. Oh, that's one thing I do not miss, man. I love Canada, but the winter is, oh man, where we live. Ooh, we're close to Alaska. Like we're about 4 hours from Alaska. Oh, it's right. Yeah, it's crazy. So you got your stuff. Yeah. You came in with your stock, and you were knocking on doors, kind of like a door-to-door salesman-y sort of deal. And you're like, hey, have you heard of Taiwan teas? Come and try Taiwan teas. I mean, keep going. I love the story.
Well, we actually, we did pretty well. We weren't knocking on going to fish markets. We were going to delicatessens where they had their Lipton teas or their, what's the British one, or Tetley teas and some other higher brand, right? Farmers markets, which were a lot of fun, because you're, of course, but once winter hit, that was it. And then also we discovered that for my wife to find meaning was difficult. She's a travel agent here in Taiwan, and she's got tenure, or she's got seniority as a travel agent. She's doing quite well. Well, up until about a year and a half ago, was doing well.
Okay.
But so push came to shove. That's it. We've got to move. We want to move back. Not only did we have to move back, but we wanted to move back to Taiwan. And then shortly after back to Taiwan, I was thinking about what my other brother in Canada was doing. And that was, and again, if any of your listeners idea of a really solid business plan, by the way, performing for kids, either or at libraries or what have you, whatever it may be, and singing songs, reading stories, hands-on activities like arts and crafts and charades and so on, similar to, you probably know, Sharon Lowe's and Brand, or Rafi.
Are you saying they do that in Canada? You're saying your brother? Okay. Wow. Yeah. So, beautiful. Of course, I know them well. Yeah.
My brother was doing that. So he would go to somebody's home in a neighborhood, and they would have the mothers or the nannies or the combination of two and have maybe 10 to 12 children. His guitar and a tub full of stuffed animals and puppets and toys. And this was all right. In Canada, of course, it's all in English.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I've told a few friends here, now that I don't do that anymore, but what I've told a few friends here is that great opportunity, and I don't believe that's one that exists here in Taiwan on a national scale, right? So, no. So when I first moved back, when we first moved back, that was the idea, was to put on performances, community centers, and so on. Still, for me, still teaching. It was still in that realm of being in a classroom, and I wanted to break that. I wanted something new and a challenge, and eventually led me to the greens business behind me.
I love that. Just let me ask a quick question on that. So you did do some of that while you were here, sort of like going to the houses and putting on shows. Yeah. So you did. So I'm curious how that went, because I would imagine they love it. I would imagine they would love it here, especially here where everybody finds like even if they, let's say, they don't want to go to a fancy restaurant, they don't want to spend on this or that, but on kids' education, they'll spend. It doesn't matter who it is; they're down to spend. I would imagine it went very well. Yeah.
Well, I'll get into even more details. Whoever does come up with this idea, remember my name, and I expect at least 10% of your annual proceeds, because I make. I'll tell you why, Eddie. You set up a little kids group of 10 kids. Okay, you charge them around $1 a head for an hour class. Right? You bring, like I said, some storybooks, some simple songs that we all know, easy to happy birthday, have a little art and crafts activity, simple math. You said your math wasn't very good, neither is mine, but simple math students. 10 students.
That's bad, sorry.
Times 200 and there's 2,000. You're in and out, you have lots of fun. Manager, there's no paperwork. There's no check-in. There's no check-out, and it's really
no communication
it was a great experience. Oh,
yeah. I know, and you have to do them in your free time. Yeah, unpaid time. Yeah,
every week.
Yeah.
So it's a great idea, and one that the parents are receptive to, and you don't actually have to go into their own. A lot of the new condominiums, they have rec rooms on the first floor or in the basement. So if some of the parents are uneasy about you coming in there, you could just rent the rec room, or they rent the rec room, and like I said, it's in and out hour. And there's not one Raffi in Taiwan, and I'll tell you, I believe it would be a great opportunity for someone to do that.
Okay, so I think this is great. I remember you were saying you did this. So how long did you do it, and was the response all positive? I would imagine so. But
okay, so I believe probably it was where I found out that this local, it's kind of a writing company and a bushy band in one. They were looking for a Saturday morning teacher. It's a little foggy now, but it was clients. They also had a connection with a local library or the local community centers. So they asked me, they said, Ashley, would you mind going to a performance or a story time at the library? And I said, sure, that'd be great. Saturday morning, no problem. I'm now a daddy, so Friday and 11 o'clock, I don't go to the clubs anymore.
Yeah. Come out for beers, and I'm like, it's already 9:30. No way.
Those days are over.
Yeah,
over.
For sure.
So
yeah.
What I did was they had projectors in their little auditoriums. I took pictures of the storybook so I could blow it up on the projector, and
Beautiful.
I put some music every 5 songs because the kids sit for very long. So we would do the wheels on the bus, and then what I discovered was I need a way to segue to the end, to say goodbye, thank you for coming. And that's when I started bringing in fruit with a cutting board and a knife. And we talk about fruit, and at the end I chop it all up, get for the kids, and one by one they would come up, they would get the fruit, they would say thank you, Teacher Ashley. Mommy and Daddy were there. Then out the door they went. And the fruit Taiwan, right? Maybe 100 NT.
That's amazing.
150.
Yeah. And great quality for sure. Yeah.
So, So it was
great.
super easy.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go on.
So I have
okay, I was just going to say.
Actually, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. The delay's killing us. Yeah.
You go.
So I have a good friend of mine. I don't want to stop the story because this is great. But I just want to stick this in there. I have a really good friend of mine who actually I just talked to today. He's Canadian. His name's Ken Lowen, and he does something called Dr. Sparks, which is something similar to what you're saying. But it's sort of, instead of like a Sharon, Lois, and Bram, it's like a Bill Nye the Science Guy, right? So he's doing something like that. And I took my daughter to something like that. Yeah, he's got the afro. He looks great, man. He's got like the big red afro. I'm going to get him on the show in the next little while. He's fantastic. And I just talked to him like literally like an hour ago. And we were chatting about it, and him and another guy that are good friends. And they're really trying to do something like that, blow it all up, because it's actually really good. I went to one of their gigs and my daughter loved it. It was my daughter, and then the rest were all local kids, and he does it in Chinese and English. Like he mixes them both up so they get a little bit of English in there, and he does experiments. It was really, really along the lines of Bill Nye the Science Guy, and I had fun. I thought, oh, this is great. This is fun, and my daughter loves it. And so my daughter goes to local school, right? So, I mean, she doesn't enjoy it that much because there's a lot of, like, let's say it's 8 to 4, and then 2 hours of homework. So like it's a lot for a 9-year-old kid. She just turned 9. So it's too much. So they do have science and all that stuff, but it's like, sit at your desk, do this. Whereas this sort of, this Dr. Sparks, it was along the lines of Bill Nye the Science Guy. Put your hands in this, touch this. Let's do an experiment. And, he's got the crazy hair and he's got a really good character. And I thought, this is really cool, man. I actually had a really good time, and he's a good friend of mine. So that's the only person that I know of that has done anything remotely similar to what you were just saying. And I think, I would imagine it's great, but yeah, I don't know. It's really cool. It's a really cool thing, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that doesn't require or even have to have a classroom, right? You can be traveling anywhere around Taiwan. And I would build auditoriums. If you're a performer and you have experience getting on a stage, again, I don't know if you recall the names Sharon, Lowe's, and Bram.
Of course I do. Yeah, I remember I love those.
Yeah. And of course, it has that English sent to it, English input, which all parents absolutely love here in Taiwan. So that after that experience, which was all positive, except for the fact that I had been teaching for a time, maybe 14 years. I just needed to find something different. And I felt perhaps it was in the growing or farming space. And I slowed my way into the space and where I am today. Yeah. No, not any easier though.
Would you say that?
Not any easier than
I would imagine. I mean, So one more question on this. Did you find that spending a lot of time with little kids and teaching little kids, that it helped you when you have a son, right? Help you towards raising your son? Like, did you develop some skills teaching that you transferred over, like as being a dad now?
I would say a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. And the reason I say that is when times are really good, I probably agree that there are really good times. Most of the times are great. And then, of course, there are times when you have to be the police officer and so on. So when times are good, reading stories, new things, discovering new things, I felt that being a teacher was helpful, right? Because I learned to educate, to facilitate, to actually step back and let my child discover mistakes. However, when he's not such a good boy, which will happen from time to time, I lose my patience easier than I would lose my patience when I was in the classroom. Because in the classroom, the kids tend to follow the other good kids. Or there's always often the co-teacher who will take care of the naughty boy or girl.
Yeah.
But when you're the father, it's in your hands. But teaching certainly has helped.
That's true. That's true.
It has helped. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you're a father. Your daughter's 9, right?
My daughter's 9. So I would say, so I played soccer. I was a soccer coach probably from like age 12. I was coaching 5-year-olds all the way up until a few years ago. I was still coaching, and that helped me with the English and with teaching kindergarten and teaching English. Because when you do, I found when you teach, you have to be a little bit of a clown. You have to kind of be like some interactive thing. You have to do something. So the coaching helped me a lot with that, and then I found that it did help me a lot with my daughter, and I think I think she's done well. But yeah, of course, if it's your own kid, you run out of patience quicker with your own kid, because you're like, come on, kid, you should know better than that. You know what I mean? Like, so it's definitely it's true.
And by the way, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just both my wife and my son. Hi, Sunshine. Hi, Cohen. And in case they're watching, I asked. I'm not. Yeah, there's Eddie over there, or it's over there. Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. That's amazing. Yeah, I love it. I've actually been following you for a while. I don't know how long. So how long has it been now since you transitioned into like, hey, let's do, maybe it starts as like a side hustle, or it starts as a hobby, and then you're like, let's do this as like a full-time gig. Let's take it from side hustle to like full-time hustle. So how long has it been since you've been doing that?
So we started this about 2.5 years ago in the old building, and it was exactly that. It was a side hustle, and so often that term is thrown around, but actually that's what it was. Because I'm in the morning, and then hustling over to the farm in the afternoon, and I do everything, right? So I plant, I water, I pack, I deliver, and then I come back and start it all over again. Right. So a lot of running around, a lot of traveling. And by the way, we got up earlier, because I learned about where you're from and your family history. But living in Taichung, super small city. So I can get everywhere really, really quickly, convenient. And so for really, really important, what I do is deliver direct to door. Not to get off track here,
I've
but
seen your, no.
For me,
that was one of my questions. I've seen your posts about you delivering. So please tell me about your delivering process. I love that. I love it.
Okay. And I was actually, again, meeting up with Alex this afternoon, just talking. We both realized, or I realized mostly, that I won't be able to delivering every package to if I want to scale up.
Of course.
Right.
Of course. Yeah.
But for the time being, I would say 3/4 of what I deliver to your door or where your work, what have you. And the reason I do that is because still, well, number one, microgreens in Taiwan are very new, right? So for me to have a customer understand what they are, interest in what they are, and continue to order them, it's very important that I interact with them. And while my Chinese is not what Chinese I do have, I try to make sure that I explain in very simple how it works, or how they taste and what they go with, and so on. And so that's very important as well. Service. My number one,
personal interaction is very important. Yeah.
My number one is the quality greens that I deliver, especially because there's something new to Taiwan. I want to make sure that their experience, I know they're only vegetables and other people have so much going on in their lives, but for me, it's a passion, and it's a passion of what I do and a passion of their experience and how they feel about the microgreens. So I try my best to deliver straight to someone's door, and so I won't stay for too long, but I'll ask, how's your family? How's your work? What's new, etc. And then I'm on my way. So maybe it's a 3-4 minute interaction. Now, a lot of days, the security guard, or because of the restrictions, I actually just leave them outside the front door and I stand back, like this. So sure it's COVID free and everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right now we're living in a weird time for sure. Yeah. Just a quick shout out to my man Francis. He's a customer of yours, a good friend of mine. Amazing, always amazing product from Ashley. Yeah. Shout out to the man. Yeah, Francis has been.
Thank you.
Oh man. So Francis, he actually, when he had his first restaurant, he inspired me to open a stand. Like this was 15 years ago when I opened my stand in a night market. And so from then till now, Francis and I have been really close, really tight. And he's on the next project right now, and he's doing fantastic. So I love that guy. He's a really good friend of mine. And he's got a couple comments here. Service is outstanding. Your troubleshooting is legendary. Speak by experience. All right. Well, thanks, Francis, for watching the show, brother. I appreciate it.
Can I tell you a little story about Francis? And my son was even bringing up just yesterday, and Francis's timing could not be better. So I guess about 6 months ago, so about a year and a half ago, Francis had contacted. I don't have the best memory, but I'll try to give you the best story that I can. And something had happened. I didn't have the red beets, or tian cai gan, which is the name in Chinese, was very difficult for me to grow. So Francis had somehow he asked for an order, and I delivered partial order to him. And this was in my very early years. Didn't really have a grasp of what I was doing. And about a year, he contacted me. He's like, Ashley, where's my order? I never received it. This was a year after his initial. And so with text messaging the way it is, I was able to find the message, and I back to him, and he apologized and super nice and kind as I was to him. It was one of those situations where nowadays on Facebook we can so easily get angry, right, for the smallest of things. But Francis was understanding. I was understanding, and just days later he said, Ashley, can I place another order? And I said, absolutely, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I'm so appreciative. Instead of popping them into the mail, I had to drive up to Hsinchu to his bistro to meet him first hand face. And my wife understand why I was doing all of this. She's like, are you sure? I mean, it's not a big order. And I'm like, no, I have to do because he's a great guy and he's a new customer, somewhat new. And I want to support the restaurants because this behind me there won't happen unless what's in front of me happens, meaning your restaurant or her or his restaurant. I won't exist unless you are successful, right? So I drove up to Shinju. I met Francis in person. Fantastic.
Oh man,
it was named.
That guy's a chef.
It was named after. It was named after. It was a hamburger. Named. Maybe if he's still watching, he can write it out there. And he put together this plate of poutine that was just fun. It was just. I left there so happy and so full, and my taste buds were just like boom, 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 boom. So to me, it's service above all else, and that's really important to what you do. Yeah,
I'd say Francis is kind of like my secret weapon, really. See, I cook with my mom. I never went to chef school or any of that fancy, sort of things like that. And I didn't have any restaurant experience. So whenever I needed to do something that I can't figure out, if I can't get it done, I would just call Francis. And Francis is just like the encyclopedia of cooking good food, So this guy he's a good friend of mine, man, from then till now. It looks like something popped up, right? Is he saying it? Oh, the Hickey Cup. Well, there you go.
That's it.
There you go. The Hickey Cup
winner. Good job.
So that would be after Robert Hickey, I guess. Yeah, Francis. Yeah, after Bobby. Yeah, it's a friend of also Canadian. Yeah, also Canadian guy. Yeah. No. So I really the whole purpose of me starting this podcast is because there's a lot of cool people like yourself doing projects that marketing is tough sometimes, right? Like there's really cool projects, there's cool restaurants, there's just a lot of really good stuff happening, and sometimes we get so busy in our business that we're not promoting it as much as we could or as much as we should, and I think it's fantastic what you're doing. I love it. I'm actually looking forward to someday coming down, maybe with a camera, grab a beer or something, and we'll check out, do a little tour or something, man. Because what's going on behind you looks really cool. I'm curious about those pink lights. I see those in operations and stuff. And is there a reason? I mean, there must be a reason that it's pink. So is that an ultraviolet or what's going on with those pink lights or purple? I don't know.
Okay. Yes, but by the way, before I tell you about the light, I want to apologize. Again, my memory is terrible. I wanted to send you a box of greens before the show. First of all, to thank you and giving me this opportunity. Also giving an opportunity for us to meet. Completely slipped my mind, but I'll get them in the mail either this week or next week, depending on the quantity that's available. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you very much.
Well, no, like I said, it's still a small channel. It's growing, but the whole point of it is to really share these kind of stories. And you know what, man? Send me a list of what you've got. Like I mean, I'd love to see what you got. I'd like to put an order in, and we're trying to be healthier. We're trying to eat healthier. We make basically in the restaurant, we make everything like with tortillas, the corn tortillas. We grind the corn. Like we do basically everything here. And I love to add some stuff like that. And this, I don't know how much you know about Taipei and sort of this little bubble called Tianmu. This area, it's a really, really expat friendly area. And I think that your product would go over very well here. So let me know, what's going on, what you've got. And I'd love to place an order. I mean, don't send me free stuff, man. I want to place an order and it's good stuff, man. Let's do that. Because I eat here every day. My wife, my daughter, we all eat here. So when people come here to eat, you were talking about service. I wouldn't serve somebody something that I wouldn't eat. Like we eat here at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. With COVID, we've been eating here a lot more than before, which is great. Beans and rice and steak and tacos and stuff. and it's great. It's been good because it's
Nice.
all really clean food. We've been, it's clean food. We make the flour tortillas. We make the corn tortillas. We do all the meats. We order directly from soon. Our vegetable guy brings all the veg in the morning. Our meat guy delivers every couple days. The cheese that we use is, we went through all of the cheeses in I don't know about Taiwan, but at least Taipei, all the stuff we could find. We chose the best stuff, and we have pretty good quality stuff. It's been a 15 years of doing this, and we started with a stand, and opened one, closed one, opened one, closed one, and now we've just got this one. But it's a big place, and it's going well. And I'm always looking to add more stuff. I've been following you for a while. That was why I asked you how long you've been doing it, because I've been following you for a while, and it might be Francis's posts that actually turned me on to what you're doing, and it's a really cool project, man.
Okay.
I and that's why I figured out I want to get you on. I would love to support. So yeah, let's do something for sure.
Great. We'll talk about that a little bit later offline. And to your question before I forget, so behind me, you see red, and well, it looks predominantly red or purplish, but it's a red and blue lights, LED lights. Now, when I first got involved in growing indoors, I was actually starting with not lettuce, but like Taichung or
sure.
Chinese cabbage. Yeah, Chinese cabbage. What I was learning about was the different spectrum of light that was needed and necessary to grow. Not having a science background in the least, YouTube, Google, online searches help tremendously in the early going. So I just contacted, actually, it's funny, I was thinking about some answers questions you may ask me before the episode. Was where did you get your equipment? Why do you use that versus another type? And so I went on to, I don't know if it's called the TaiX website, like Taiwan exhibition web for conventions around Taiwan. And I did a search in the search box for LED lights. That's it, simple LED lights. Probably a dozen or so Taiwan-based companies that make LED lights. So I just followed the rabbit hole of sorts, went to one company, I think it's called Seven Team, like baseball. And they're located in, and I contacted them, set up a meeting, took the high speed up one more, met with their agents and some office staff, and who they were, liked their products. And since then, I've been using the same lights. Now, I've had some others tell me that you, in fact, don't need red and blue spectrum because the cycle for growing microgreens is very short. So you actually only need a very simple white light. But I've grown accustomed to using red and blue. These are low temperature and indoors. You can't see it off camera, but I have an air conditioner system 24/7. So for me, temperature is super, super important. So I use low heat lamps and conditioner that makes sure it is in a controlled state.
Okay. So quickly, could you give me sort of a list of a few products that you're growing, like microgreens, right? I don't know that much about what you have, like product wise. So maybe you could just, let us know a couple of what you got, what you're growing.
So for any of your listeners or viewers wondering what are microgreens, so very, very simple. Micro meaning very, very small. Here's my English teacher coming out of me. Perfect. So micro means very small, and green, of course, green vegetables, which in fact I don't only grow green. There's a variety of colors, but we grow about 13 different microgreens. Everything from arugula, kale, kohlrabi, broccoli, bok choy or xiaobai, beet, pea shoot, sunflower, cilantro, which you may be interested in.
Oh, yeah. We use a lot of that, brother. Yeah.
Mustard, fenugreek, fennel, dill, sunflower. I think I've got just about all of them. So about between 13 to 15 microgreens is what I grow behind me. Yeah.
Wow. So what gives you the idea or the inspiration to choose, just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to start selling Chinese basil or something that comes out of, you're like, oh, I'm going to add a new product to the list. I mean, I just threw out that random one. Yeah. Like what's like, okay, what gives you the idea? Like, okay, I want to do cilantro. Okay.
I was just going to say, you chose one of the more difficult ones, and one that I've put aside for a while, and that's basil. Basil's a bit of a difficult one to grow. But okay, so why did I choose what I chose to grow? So the first green I was introduced to was, I forgot this one, by the way, and that is radish, right? So we all know radish. Is the little
red ones,
right? The little red. Yeah. The reason is they grow. It's easy to grow, or they're easy to grow. Also, they grow very, very quickly, and they're hardy. Well, they're very healthy. Like they're super.
Are you talking about you grow the little red ones?
Actually, what I grow are the stems, right? So I grow the stems above ground. Okay.
Okay.
The radish you're talking about ground. So if this is the ground here, I grow this, and the radish is below here.
Oh.
Right? So I grow the stem, and then the stems above. Yeah.
Okay.
So and the microgreen has a stem. Whoops, you're getting it wrong there. A stem, and then two little out of the top, right? And the roots are discarded. We throw the roots of the microgreens away. I chose radish first was because the easiest one to grow, and then from there I chose broccoli and bok choy or Chinese cabbage because they're relatively easy to grow, and also they're a neutral flavor, unspecific flavor that overpowers the other ones. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know that there were so many kinds of microgreens. When I think, not knowing much about it, I would think like alfalfa sprouts or something like that. You know, if I would think of microgreens, that would be the first thing that would pop into my head.
Right. Or bean sprouts. Yeah, bean sprouts in Asia are super popular, right?
Yeah.
Bean sprouts. That's amazing. Where you find most microgreens right now are in higher end restaurants, especially French, right? They love to use the little microgreens with what's called or the baby leaf. But now other types of restaurants are starting to use them, as well as home-based consumers, right? For example, you eat a hamburger and you have your iceberg lettuce on your hamburger. It doesn't matter what restaurant.
Yes.
Any restaurant, they may have the best burger in the world. What they do is they put that iceberg lettuce under, and it completely ruins the experience. Next time you have a burger,
pull that out.
They retain their crunch, they retain the flavor, and also if you're a restaurateur, they're beautiful. So microgreens with everything.
Yeah.
Breakfast and dinner, or just a handful, and
just a little snack. Okay, and that's pretty healthy. I mean, that wow. I think that's fantastic. I love the whole idea, and I love that you were able to grow this. I mean, that's pretty quick to get from the side hustle to where you're at now. With an apartment, and you got the AC going on, you got the lights, and it's there's got to be there was a huge learning curve, right, for you to get from there to where you are now.
Huge learning curve, but by no means am I driving a Ferrari. Not yet. Not yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, neither am I. Yeah.
My son wants me to buy a Ferrari. My son would love me to buy. You know, we were talking starting businesses in Taiwan, and the nice thing about Taiwan and starting businesses is that the overhead is not overwhelming, right? So
yeah.
You know, we're fortunate that we're healthy. We're fortunate that we don't have expensive lifestyles. So I can pursue the path I'm on right now without the pressure, without the that we have to make all these unnecessary payments every month. And our son goes to school as well. Yeah. You know, he goes to elementary school. And so because we don't have that immense pressure, again, I can focus on the quality, focus on the service, and number three, I can focus on seeing this business forward, forward little by little by little. Yeah,
I love that. So I got one more question in regards to marketing. So how is it that you go about acquiring a new customer? Like how does that? Have you had to dive into Facebook ads, Instagram, word of mouth? I mean, talk for a few minutes about the marketing. Yeah.
Sure. And I love talking about this, but I hope what I'm saying can help others start their business. And by the way, I'm well, we're around the same age. I don't need to say when, how old we are. I started this 3 years ago. Most of my cohorts, whether it be friends or high school graduates and so on, high school classmates, well into their careers now. They've got homes, maybe second homes, and they're flying off to these countries. And I'm 40 something years old, and I'm just starting this business out. But I get great. I feel healthy. I feel young. I feel energy. Yeah. And so anyone who's starting at any age, doesn't matter. Just go for it. Give it your all, and don't worry about what's going to you. Just look ahead. Look forward, and as long as you're positive, even on bad days, as long as you're positive, count in the end, right?
I love that. But
to answer your question, so again, has been very, very helpful. Instagram has been somewhat helpful, but I would say the most helpful piece of marketing has been getting out there and talking about whatever it is your passion is, whatever business may be, going to marketplaces, maybe these pop-ups. I've had one customer here in Taichung who set up a few pop-ups, and he's asked me, Ashley, do you want to come out and do a pop-up? Without hesitation, yes, absolutely. So he's got his stand to my right, maybe another stand to my left, and there I'm in the middle with crackers and some sausage and some cheese and microgreens, right?
Beautiful.
Just simply going out, and I was actually speaking to a friend the other day, and I said, his name is actually Eddy as well, and I said, Eddy,
he sounds like a great guy.
Yeah. Anyone with the name Eddy, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so I said to him, I sent a Facebook the other day to a restaurant, and I didn't get a feedback from them. And I said, but remember that time I went to ABC restaurant, and I went there for lunch, and after lunch, when I paid the bill, I handed them a big bag, and inside that bag was 5 different things. And I said, hey, I grow these, sample these with you. Here's my business card. Here's a flyer. I said, thank you very much. And then that was it. No pressure, no sales pitch.
Yep.
I just left. And a few days later, contacted them, and I don't recall exactly what was said. I don't know if they had even tried them, but I remember about 10 days later, they placed their first order. So
beautiful.
When you have something such as food or beverage, make sure that whatever you make, I would say this, make sure that whatever, produce 20% extra.
Okay.
And set that aside for giveaways, right? Kombucha. Okay. Let's say you're I'm not sure about beer because it's alcohol, so that may be, that
we do get samples. We do get beer. We get beer samples for sure.
Okay. There you go.
Going, yeah.
So whatever you do of any kind, of that as giveaways, as samples. And the other thing I do with all new customers across the board, either I make a call, ask them a few days later, what are your feelings? Please offer feedback. I ask what your experience was, and there's no pressure. Just simply get back to me when you have a few minutes. And I find those suggestions are the way to go. Yeah.
So let's say you're going out for lunch with the family and you're picking like maybe not like a biendangi place, but kind of a medium-ish place for lunch. You're bringing a bag of greens and you're thinking, okay, when I pay the bill, I'm going to leave sort of my calling card, this little bag of greens, to see what they think.
Yeah. And now,
okay, wow, that's really cool.
I mean, back in the day when I first started, all my labels were written, and my handwriting is okay. It's legible and it's pretty good.
Nice.
But then we were like, with some labels. So eventually we came out with this label here.
Yep. Nice.
And I think they're $1. It's $1 a piece onto your product, and it will it will be like day and night. When you hand it to
branding. You're branding. Yeah. You're branding your product. Yeah. Beautiful.
You look
Keep going.
professional. Yeah. Like I have a shirt today because I go out and I represent my company. I represent myself. You don't need this, but certainly to an interview or sell a product, you need to look. You need to. I should have shaved, but you need to look good. You need to play the part. Yeah.
No problem. Nah, we try to do this really like casual. I'd love to get you one day in here, like we can do a live actual chat. Because I mean, I think we could. Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, I think the numbers for the COVID, it's looking good, right? I mean, Taichung has almost nothing, right? No COVID really. Taipei is slowing down, like the COVID numbers. Yeah, we're getting close to zero. So once in the next few weeks we can do it. We can get back to the in-person stuff. Yeah.
I wanted to say this at the beginning of our conversation. I didn't want to talk about COVID. I didn't want to talk at all about the pandemic. I may say one thing, if you wouldn't mind. It's not political.
Sure.
By no means is it political at all.
No. Go ahead.
Maybe it is slightly. And how we, as residents, citizens, and people living in Taiwan, dealt with this blow up, this last 3 weeks, is remarkable. And I want to congratulate, whether people are listening or not, I want to congratulate everyone's island for what we accomplished. More so than the initial lockdown, because I believe at least things down, and that's it. It's kept out. It's under control. You can go about your life. But it was actually with the flare-up back in, what was it, May or so?
May,
which I think to me is much than the original lockdown. So, congratulations to all you guys that own restaurants, to all the business the board that had to deal the past few months. I congratulate you all. And I want nothing but the best for everyone as we move forward.
I love that, man. That I'm going to make a little clip out of that. That's beautiful. I love that. I have to say, I have to agree 100% with you because it's tough. It was tough. And I think, yeah, we kept everything out, but eventually it was going to get in. I mean, we hoped it took, it wouldn't, so that everyone could get vaccinated and yada, yada, yada. I don't want to talk about pro-vax, anti-vax or anything like that. But we basically, exactly, nobody wants to talk about that. But basically, the way that we dealt with it, it was within 3 months, we were able to take it from, I believe, the 700 numbers or so was the highest to today. There was three local cases in New Taipei, Taipei City 0, everywhere else 0. And so we had 0 cases for a long time. It kind of exploded a tiny bit, not really. Generally speaking, compared to the rest of the world, that's still nothing. But for us, it's getting close back to 0 again, which is great because last year had a fantastic year. This year was doing really well. Obviously, the last 3 months sucked, but it's everybody. I have friends with restaurants and stuff all over the world, and all of them told me, look, they're going to tell you it's going to be a month, but it's going to be a year. Prepare for a year. I'm like, you guys don't know about Taiwan, man. This is, if everybody says mask up, everyone masks up. If they say scan the QR code, everybody's going to scan the code. If they say wash your hands, everybody's going to wash their damn hands. If they say use that divider, people are going to use the divider. And it's because, I mean, nobody wants to live with in lockdown. We want to get through it. We want to get back to how we were before. Taiwan was a few months ago, 4 months ago was like booming. It was amazing, and it's we had so much worldwide recognition because they've done so well. And we slipped a little bit, but we're back. And I think that the vaccines and all that are coming in. It's going to take a little while, but if they keep everything closed, all the borders and stuff, keep the borders closed. As much as it sucks, I want to visit my family, but keep it all closed. Let's get everything sorted. I think they've done fantastic. And you know what? I love it here. This is a great place. And I hate to say I told you so to those that were saying it was going to be a year, but I knew it would be a few months for sure. When they said 2 weeks, there's no way it's 2 weeks, but a few months, definitely reasonable. We're able to salvage some of the summer, and I think the beaches are open. I'm not sure. So tomorrow or the day after, we don't have a car because I basically live in this little bubble. And if we're going to go far, we just take a taxi. But when we do, we go rent a car and we drive out to the beach, because for us to buy a car and have parking, Tianmu parking, forget about it. Tianmu's like Beverly Hills. You want a parking spot? It's like $6,000 to $8,000 for a parking spot. And so to buy a beater and pay $6,000 to $8,000 for us, it's stupid, right? So for us, we go to the car rental place or whatever, pay $1,000 or $2,000 for the day. We go out, we drive up to the beach, we hang out there. At the end of the day, we drop it off. It's done. It's great. I love that. Yeah. So I'm really one of the few guys out there. I think I'm not anti-car, but I don't know much about them. I don't really care that much about a car. I mean, if you're delivering stuff, that's a different thing. But for us, I mean, I can walk home from here. I walk to my daughter's school, the gym up the street. I can walk everywhere. I can walk to the MRT, and then you can MRT downtown. Or if we want to go somewhere further, we just take a taxi. We have a scooter for this area, and that's pretty much it, man. I mean, I think I'm a pretty simple guy. I love this business. I'm trying to get this business. I want to make it generational. So yeah, I'm working on that, but it's not as easy. It's not as easy as one would think. But it's tough, but it's been good. It's been a good life. I think it's been good. Taiwan is number one, man. Taiwan number one. I love it here. I feel more at home here than Mexico or Canada, believe it or not. And it's a great place, man. I love it. And that's why I want to share the stories of other people that I think are doing cool stuff. That like yourself. I think it's really cool what you're doing. And yeah, I love it. I just think there's cool stuff going on. and it should be shared, especially because, I mean, what does it cost us right now? It's not costing us anything. You know, the camera, we got the equipment set up. Let's just have a chat. And ever since the podcast thing blew up, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I figured I want to do that. So let's do it. Yeah. And this is what came up. If it ever blows up to something massive, that's good for all of us, because we're all going to be on people's minds. And if not, then I'm just chatting with cool people doing cool stuff anyway. So yeah.
And making new friends, right? Making new friends.
Making some new
what
friends.
It's all about. And also, I have to thank you as well. You know, I've been following you for a lot of time to sit down and watch. Actually, thankfully, with the tech today, we podcasts like yourself. So I can't sit down and watch. I can listen to a podcast. I can learn about the different restaurants, the different business groups, or the different yoga centers, and those fascinating new businesses or lives, not even just businesses, but lives around Taiwan. And I spend time alone every day. Although I'm delivering and I'm out and about, I'm on the farm by myself. So having an opportunity to section and live conversation, it helps the day go along. With that said, though, I love what and in some ways I appreciate being alone now after working 16 or so years with the 25 kids every day running around me and screaming and all this. But I love kids. Kids are great. And I do.
Teacher, he hit me.
Actually, or coughing.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll mention, or maybe not the last thing, but one other thing I'll mention is on the farm here. While it is a small scale DIY workshops, I've had some high schools come in.
Love it.
At the old building, I had even some elementary schools come, and we do lots of hands-on, because what I'm growing, kids can take the little pots home, and within 7 minutes the pots, eat them, and it's really fascinating for the kids to experience workshops and activities. So we do that here. When we eventually move to a larger space, and I'm planning on that in the next year or two, able to have larger groups of students come in for either workshops or demos, or what are they called? Presentations as well.
I think that's a step in the right direction. I think getting people aware of stuff like this. I mean, like I cook a lot and stuff, but I don't know about growing stuff. I mean, I have no idea. And it's always interesting because everyone thinks you need to go out and rent a piece of land and then you farm it. People always tell me we make our own hot sauces. We make our own like salsas and stuff like that. And everybody's always like, oh, you should, grow your own habaneros, grow your own chilies, jalapenos. And I'm like, man, I don't, first of all, I've never grown anything. Second of all, if I have to go rent a piece of land and start harvesting all this stuff myself, I don't want to. I mean, because I'm already super busy. You know what I mean? I have no idea. So an urban farm like that, I think it's really cool. I think a lot of people would be very interested in to see what you're doing. And that's why I wanted to get you on here to put it out there a little bit, man.
That's great. That's great. We welcome everyone come in. It's usually by appointment because being on site or I'm delivering, and weekends are best. But we're always open to everyone to come visit, learn a little bit more. You don't have to be a customer. You can just come in, take a look around, ask some questions, Chinese and English, Zhongwen, and it's fun. It's just fun doing what I'm doing, and it's something I have a passion for.
I love it, brother. Hey, man, you know what? We could talk all day. Okay. Let's do another show sometime. Hopefully we can get you in here, or maybe I do have some portable stuff. Maybe we can go out and do it there sometime, because I would actually love to see your actual setup, because that would be really cool. And I mean, I don't get very much vacation time. So it's nice for us to get out and do stuff. So I'd love to come out and see you guys. I have a few friends like Alex and stuff out there, and Taichung. I mean, Taiwan's not that big, so you can get there. I mean, you drive it all the time, so that you're driving around the island delivering. So it's a great place, man. I'd love to come out and meet you in person, and I'd love to get to know you, to see what's going on there. And after we get off here, I'll definitely, you got to let me know about what you got product wise, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But before we end it off, is there anything that you wanted to add before we cut it? What do you think?
Spot here.
No. I mean, yeah. I mean, is there any one topic that you're like, I really want to make sure I say this?
Actually, no, nothing specific other than to say thank you very much for this. And when I say that, I truly, honestly mean it. From every customer to every student to yourself, asking questions that maybe others want to ask, they don't have the ability because of language issues or they're shy. For any reason, I just want to say thank you for doing what you're doing, and allowing all of us to have a platform to welcome what we're interested in, what we're doing, and to let everyone know that they're welcome to experience at least the farm here and other restaurants and places around the island too. So I commend you. I congratulate you very much.
Thank you. That was the whole point, was just to create a platform where we could just share cool stuff and find interesting stuff happening. That's really the whole point. And I saw nobody was doing it, and I said, maybe I can do it. Let's do it. And it's been going all right. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I'd love to meet you in person. I can't wait to try your stuff, and it's going to be fantastic, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching the show. The description below here has a link to Coex Microgreens Facebook page. If you want to get in contact with these guys, buy some of their amazing products, contact them directly. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys next week. See you later.